Do you ever look up at the stars and wonder what's up there? Do you think about your place in the universe? Do you ponder what might be looking back at you? People have stargazed for as long as they've existed. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans have used the stars to both navigate and mark the changing of the seasons. The constellation names we use today have been used since before the Common Era, and yet it wasn't until very, very recently that we could actually see space in far more detail. This was thanks to the invention of the telescope. While Hans Lippershey is credited with the telescope's invention in 1608, there's controversy as to whether he was truly the first. Telescopes have come a long way since the 1600s and have now helped us to discover moons, navigate the open ocean, create the best map of dark matter that currently exists, as well as so much more. But how the heck do these telescopes work? Before we can really get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's important to understand a little bit about how we see anything at all. Basically, millions of rays of light are bouncing off of you when you're in the sun or in an illuminated area. These light rays are then observed by the eyes of anyone who happens to be looking at you. Their eyes absorb the light that's bounced off you and see the colors and shadows that make you up. So weirdly, when you look at someone, you're actually just seeing light bouncing off them. Now let's look at telescopes, or should I say the light bouncing off of them. There are two types of telescopes. The first we'll discuss is the refracting telescope. Refracting telescopes use lenses to magnify faraway images. When light is traveling through the air, it's moving at nearly 300 million meters per second. That's 671 miles per hour. Its speed depends on what it's traveling through. For example, light travels at only 200 million meters per second in glass. While that's still wicked quick, it's 100 million meters per second slower than it is through the air. And when light passes from one medium to another, for example, from air to glass, something funny happens. The light changes direction. This is called refraction. Refracting telescopes use two glass lenses, as shown here. The lenses gather and focus more light than our eyes otherwise could on their own. Every lens has something called a focal length, which is determined by the material the lens is made of, as well as its radius. This focal length is what causes the magnification. Larger focal lengths provide greater magnification. When you look into a refracting telescope, you see an extra clear, magnified image. This is how. The other kind of telescope we'll examine is the reflecting telescope. Reflecting telescopes use mirrors as well as lenses to gather and magnify light. These make up the majority of telescopes used in astronomy, as they have less distortion than refracting telescopes. The Newtonian telescope was the first successful reflecting telescope, and here's how it works. When light hits a mirror, it's reflected at the same angle it hit the mirror at. Newtonian telescopes use two mirrors, called the primary and secondary mirrors, to reflect and focus the light into the eyepiece lens as shown. The primary mirror gathers lots of light, much more than our eyes could, and reflects it into the secondary mirror, which reflects the light again into a lens, magnifying it into our eyes. And that's how the Hubble telescope took these pictures. It's cross-sections of science and engineering, such as this, that have led to all the major discoveries throughout history. Without the invention and improvement of telescopes, our ability to navigate and our understanding of the universe would be greatly diminished. You never know what the great next piece of engineering will be or who it will be invented by, but there's no reason it couldn't be something built by you. So next time you look at the stars, don't ask yourself what's up there. Rather, ask yourself what you can do to find out. Keep building and keep creating, because the universe isn't waiting. Thanks for listening.